experience that's just assaulting you with visceral imagery and sound effects and an incredible performance by Toni Collette. And if she isn't nominated for an Oscar, I actually really won't be that surprised. Look down on genre films. Although they did nominate Logan for screenplay, so maybe they're turning over a new leaf. And she was nominated once before for The Sixth Sense, which is also
Greenhouse Cross.
So
No one
she
knows.
should get it again.
Killing
And I think she
people.
should. This is the best actress performance.
But there's
I've ever
monsters.
seen, and she's absolutely phenomenal.
Well, monsters
She has to
can,
do
but
so much
nothing
as an
else.
actress to emote so much in almost every single scene. And this could be dangerous because she could become just too over the top. But she finds that perfect balance between realism and just
Wait. So
flat
you're
out
saying,
insanity,
wait, so
because her
you're
character
telling me
has,
that there's a
as I
giant
said, a
gorilla
very,
steak
very
here?
terrible backstory with
I
her
didn't even
family.
know that
So,
they had
as
gorilla
tragedies
steak.
happen in this
I'm
film,
right
in
up.
the present day, it's almost like
Ouch.
you can't really cope with it. It's just too much, you know? Everyone has that
Daddy,
breaking point, and Toni
you got
Collette's
the
character,
swords
Annie,
under the
she
couch.
passes that breaking
No, let's stay
point
there for a while.
by the
Why?
end of the first act. Still have 2 more acts of the film, and she is just on edge for the rest of the film.
The shooting was getting a trip.
Going through each one of these family members as they watch each
No
other.
one knows what this big
completely
worm's
break down.
name is.
I'm not going to get
But,
too much into the supernatural aspect of this movie because I didn't really know much about it at all.
There's a giant worm coming now.
Be surprised mostly by what happens, but there are things in the corners of some frames, in the shadows, and you just cut to a line, and it's in the frame for a really long time, and you might not even notice. And if you do notice, it just sends chills down your spine. There's multiple times like this in this movie where I just felt my entire body kind of lock up. And this is coming from somebody who's watched a lot of and it just cuts to a line, and it's in the frame for a really long time, and you might not even notice. And if you do notice, it just sends chills down your spine. There is multiple times like that in this movie where I just felt my entire body kind of lock up. And this is coming from somebody who's watched a lot of horror movies. Maybe that's why this film stood out to me so much. I mean, I watched weird stuff. I just went through like a phase where I watched all these really hyper-violent French horror films, like Inside, High Tension, and Martyrs.
Okay.
And I've seen some
Stop.
weird stuff. But this movie
Wait,
gave
what?
me shivers, just all through my body, multiple times. And it's not just because it's like starting
Ooh, it's for the goldfish.
a lot of it really does have to do with the editing and the sound design. Because whenever I see something that just seems like it was presented in the
Maybe
most
because there's
perfect way,
monsters on the roof.
it sort of like fulfills this desire I have to see a director who understands how to make a movie. That's how I feel every time I sit down in the theater. I just want to see a director who knows what the hell they're doing. And when I see that, it's so cathartic for me because I feel like, oh my God, yes, you understand. I want to talk about young Millie Shapiro, who plays the daughter Charlie. Magnificent. This is her first role. She was so disturbing, and she sold all of that through very little dialogue. Her character is integral to certain scares that pay off eventually. There's a few scenes with her that I'm never going to forget. And a lot of it really does have to do with when you show someone something. At what point do you choose to reveal to the audience what you know happened? But maybe we're not going to show it to you yet. We're just going to have the characters maybe want to look, but no, they don't want to look yet. And then there it is. Look at it. And my body is just like, this movie really got me, guys. Ari Aster was clearly a filmmaker who knows when to show you something and when not to show you something. He's someone who understands imagination. The fact that what we don't see is going to be a lot scarier in our minds because we're thinking about when to show it, you know, when to keep it in the shadows, when to let something just barely be seen out of the shadows. And that's something that really bothered me. There were so many moments where, like, you expect there to be some loud jolt that sort of releases you from your nervousness or from the anxiety that a scene is setting up. You don't get that. You just get like this cut to an angle of the room, which at times sometimes does resemble the miniatures that Toni Collette's character was making. You get these really amazing files that almost make the room look like it's one of her creations. And you just see something maybe in the corner, just barely, it might be there, and your eyes sort of adjust to it, just like the person who is waking up from bed, kind of squinting, and is someone standing in my room? Dude, I'm not even kidding, it really kind of got to me. I'm thinking a lot about it. I've been thinking about it all day, and I've been thinking about this in particular in regards to other horror films, and I don't think I've seen one that I've loved this much since The Babadook. Now, a lot of people don't like The Babadook, and a lot of critics liked it, and people thought it was, it's all right. Or some people hated it because, that film to me was that type of domestic horror that I love, that feels like it could happen, that touches on mental illness. Hereditary has similar themes, but it's more mainstream, I would say, than Babadook was. Hereditary is the perfect balance between mainstream horror and art house horror. It has all those genre things you expect to have, big moments. But it also has
He got arrested for what he has done.
Which is,
Now I have to live outside forever.
And I was really satisfied with this film. I have a few of my issues. During the second act, I think it's like I hand out. I've been
One more through.
She's terrific in this movie too. There's some aspects of the second act that do have a lot of red herrings where you think the film is going in a certain direction, but it might not be. The filmmaker needs to have those moments though, because we have to understand what the film's about. We have to feel like we're on a mission, where we understand the goals of the characters. You can switch those things up in the third act, but we have to feel like we understood what was happening, the progression of the movie. And sometimes for about 10 to 15 minutes of that second act, I wasn't exactly sure what the movie was doing. Having seen all of it though, I understand the imperativeness of those things. And so it might be the first viewing.
It changed. It's not
First
wrestling.
viewing, like, what's really happening, and then by the end, like, okay, I really see why that was necessary. There is a little bit of exposition that goes overboard as well.
Yes.
We need Annie, Nicolette's character, to let us in on the things that happen so that we understand just how terrible it was and what it's done to the family and specific relationships in the family. And I can understand that from a writer-director perspective, it's kind of tough to tell those aspects of their backstory without just having a character say it, which has happened. And exposition is absolutely necessary in film. It's just that